So people always say, oh, I recorded this footage, but I lost it, or my camera wasn't recording, or whatever. But then again, I said to myself, okay, let me edit this video, and I don't care what my hard drive says. I don't care what my camera says. I recorded this footage. So my hard drive was like, what footage? You have footage? Oh, this footage right here? Oh, here you go. And it was all garbled. And I was like, you know what? I can get mad, or I can be like, whatever. It's no big deal. People have worse things that happen. But there was a plus in this losing of footage. I was able to take down 2 of these locks for you guys, and it only took me 40 seconds per lock. What? Not even my crochet braids take that long to take out. I mean, they do, but 40 seconds is a very small amount of time. So I'm just happy that 40 seconds per lock, that's pretty magical. I like that. So I took down 2. This is my butterfly locks after having them in for 2 weeks and thinking that I had footage and I was all good and stuff. And I'm going to leave them in for longer. But this is 2 weeks of it in. Looks pretty good for 2 weeks. Still distressed, still strong, still going strong. So these were done on individual braids. They were all parted out individually. I can't emphasize enough how much I hate individuals and doing individual locks or braids or whatever. I can't stand it. But what I did was, to make it easier on myself, when I braided my hair, I didn't braid it all the way down. What I did was I took it and I braided from the root down to about right here. And then the last little bit, I just 2-strand twisted. If you were to take and say, oh, I'm going to do individuals, but I'm going to do a 2-strand twist, them things are going to slip out. I suggest you do the braid from the root to about middle of your braid, and then just end it off with a 2-strand twist. And as you can see, it's still together, still secure. And this is after 2 weeks. The hair that I used, Free Tress Water Wave, on sansbeauty.com. It's $4.99 a pack for their 12-inch, because that's all you need, the length that you need for a short shoulder length bob. This is my preferred hair for butterfly or distress locks because it held up better and it had less slippage. But if you're in a pinch, you go to the beauty supply and they only have a limited amount of water wave. The best out of all the limited amount of water wave just under Free Tress for me was Lulu Tress Water Wave, and it's $3.99 a pack for their 12-inch length. This had a little bit of, like I said before, it had a little bit more slippage than the Free Tress did. And if you want your takedown to be even quicker than mine, I think you should use the Lulu Tress. As you can see with these locks, that they are pretty secure. They're pretty tough. They're not squishy. And so there's a reason for that. And I'm going to show you how I did that. So what you're going to need for this hairstyle is you're going to need your hair, of course. Then you're also going to need your crochet latch hook. I know you have about 8 of them laying around somewhere. So take one of those 8 and use it. So first you're going to need this. Then you're going to, and in the description box below, I'm going to put this down there along with the hair, is just a regular little crochet hook. So as you can see, it's a very tiny crochet hook. You can hardly see the hook part of it, but it is certainly smaller than the hook on this right here. So it's significantly smaller, has a little tiny hook, and that little tiny hook can do a lot. So you have those 2 supplies along with your hair, and let's get started. So this is my hair after 2 weeks. Looks pretty good. I mean, I don't put a lot of product in my hair. I'm not even going to put product in it right now as I'm trying to show you this. But yeah, it looks pretty good. My scalp is still clean. So to start this off, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our 8 crochet latch hooks. So I'm going to take that real quick and I'm going to stick it into the base of my braid. And then I'm going to put the hair on there, close it, and pull it through. Now, instead of doing it like you would do for crochet braids, you're just going to pull one side through. Boom. So you have your braid, you have your crochet hair, 2 sides. So what you're going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to fluff this out real quick. So fluffing it out could be just taking and just separating the curls as best as you can. You don't have to go crazy with this. So you just need to make sure it's fluffy and it's not this uniform curl thing. So now I like to pull it just to make sure I have the 2 sides the way that they are. And there's a dang bird outside the window of all these times. So I want to pull this one side to the length where I want my lock to be. So I want it to be right here, and I'm pulling it where I'm pulling the curl straight, and I'm putting it where I want it to be, which is right at my shoulder. So I'm going to take my braid, then I'm going to take my short piece, and I'm going to hold those 2 together. So here's the part where I always get confused because I'm not exactly sure which way I'm going to wrap it. Happens to all of us, but right now it's happening to me. So I'm thinking that this is the way I'm going to go. So what I do is I like to grab the hair at the base. And when I say hair, I mean the one side of your crochet hair and then your braid. I like to pinch those as tightly as possible. And then I like to wrap around the base a couple times. So I want to make sure that I'm getting all the loose hairs where my braid is. And so I'm just going to wrap it around a couple times, which would be about like 2 or 3 times. And so you want to, from this part where you're wrapping your braid, you want to make sure that you are wrapping your braid as evenly as possible and evenly covered as possible. Because otherwise you're going to have spaces and your hair is going to be exposed, and then it's going to be like, what's the point? This is supposed to be a protective hairstyle. So that's where the fluffing of the hair comes into play, and then that's going to give you enough coverage. It's going to give you enough coverage to cover up your braid, and that's what you want. And you can see it makes it look really, really shiny, which I kind of like that. So now I'm getting towards the end of my braid. Now I'm at the end of my braid. I passed it. I can feel that I passed it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap one more time, but this time I'm going to stick my fingers in there in the way. You're like, oh my goodness, you're going to wrap around your fingers. So you're going to stick your fingers in there in the middle of your wrap as you're wrapping. And then you have your 2 fingers sticking out, and then you're going to stick the hair. Have the hair come around and go in between the 2 fingers. And then you're going to take the 2 fingers and you're going to pull that hair through and make a knot. What you're doing in there is you are marking where your hair has ended and where the fake hair is going to begin. So now I'm going to keep wrapping, but I have this little knot here. That lets me know that's where my hair is, okay? And that's going to be very important in the end. So I'm going to keep wrapping this all the way down. Okay, so now I'm at the end here. I'm at the end of my wrapping part. So I got a little bit of hair left here. So now I'm going to take my little crochet hook. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer with this crochet hook. This crochet hook is almost like a needle. Even though it looks like it's not really that sharp and it has a hook at the end, so it kind of seems like it's blunt, it's not. Just believe me, just take it from me, because I've stuck this underneath my fingernail a couple times in order to know exactly how it feels to have it go underneath your nail. So just make sure that you're being careful when you do this. I told you, I laid it on a table, I threw it to you, you can throw it back to me, I don't care. But what I know is, please be careful, because it's gonna hurt and you're gonna be very unhappy if it goes underneath your nail. So now what you're gonna do with this little hook, you're gonna make sure you're sticking it into the lock, and you're going to start distressing the end. And what you're doing is you're taking strands from over there, you're taking strands from over there, you're taking strands from up there and down there, and you're just pulling them whichever way this crochet hook goes. So you're pushing it in, pushing it back out. You're like stabbing it a little bit. And so what that does is it creates a secure end. As you can see, it's not coming out. So I'm going to do that a couple times on the end here. And what that does too is it creates kind of like, it's giving the lock some body too, because it's pulling some hair out, and it's also pulling some hair in. And then when it's doing that, it's like creating and adding to the lock and adding to how tough it is. And so it feels more tough. It feels like a solid piece of a lock than just some wrapped up curly hair. So that's why I love using this crochet hook. And when I do it, it's I like to take and grab it like this and stick the crochet hook in between my fingers like this, and I'm twisting as I go. And so it's also protecting my nails and protecting this crochet hook tip from going in underneath my nail, or even beside my nail, or underneath my cuticle. Yeah, I've done all that with this crochet hook, so I don't want you guys to do it. So now what I'm going to do is I still have some hair on the end here, so I'm going to take and split it and wrap it back up the lock. So I'm adding more to the end of this lock, and I'm going to repeat it and do that same thing as I did with the first initial hair. And so it seems like I'm not wrapping anything right now, but there is one little strand of hair that I'm still wrapping up. And what that little strand is doing is adding more to the security of this lock. And then I'm going to use the crochet hook to add more hair in and push the hair all around. So I have this one little piece. I'm going to wrap that also and do the same thing. You might even it might even be better, you could just wrap it in place. So I'm gonna stick that in there. There you go. And you got a nice little lock right here. Very secure. I love it. So now I am going to grab my other lock right here. This time I'm gonna do something a little different. So now I'm gonna locate my braid here. So I got my curl, got my crochet latch hook. I'm going to stick it in at the base of my braid, put the hair on the hook, close the latch hook, and then I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to pull one side through, and I like to do this just to make sure I put it in right. And I put them together, and I'm going to fluff it up, give it a little bit more body. So I'm pulling this just to make sure that they're separated still. And then I'm going to take one side and I'm going to pull it straight. Make sure that's where I want it to be. Make sure I pull the curl straight. So now I'm going to take my braid. I'm going to take the shorter end. And then I'm going to grab the short hair in my braid and I'm going to pinch it at the base. And I'm going to take this longer piece and I'm going to wrap it around as close to my scalp as possible, but not too tight. So I'm going to wrap it a couple times around the base, not too tight, but just tight enough that you know it's secure. And then I'm going to wrap it around my hair, my braid, in the shorter strand of hair. So now you're going to wrap around one more time, and you're going to wrap around your 2 fingers. And then you're going to pull the hair around the braid and put it in between your 2 fingers. And with your 2 fingers, pull the strand through and make a knot. And that's going to signify, hey, I arrived at the end of my actual braid. And that lets me know with this crochet hook, we're not going to go above that knot. Okay. So then I'm going to continue wrapping down the fake hair strand. You can end with a knot if you want to, but I don't really care. So this time I went all the way down with the one strand. I went all the way down. So that's one technique. The first braid was the one technique where you go up, but I'm going to go all the way down as far as it can go. Then when I get down to that end, I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to start sticking it in there just to secure the end just a little bit. Pay attention to where the end of the crochet hook is so that you don't hurt yourself, okay? So we got a secure end here. So now I'm going to take my hair that's at the end. It's the hair that we were wrapping over top of. And I'm going to split that in 2 and I'm going to wrap that up. And you know that if you're wrapping up and you're like, uh-oh, where's my braid? My braid is up here. Got a little knot right here. So I know that I can still use my crochet hook on that end without it catching some of my hair into it. And even if you do, it still should be able to slip out. It's not like you were locking your hair. So again, I'm going to take the other end of the braid or the lock and I'm going to wrap it up. You can wrap this tightly or you can wrap this loosely. I'm wrapping it fairly loose to give myself a little bit more of an end, a little blunt end on my lock. And so now I'm going to use my crochet hook to get that very end, stick it in there, and my braid has ended. My hair actually ends right here, so I know that I'm safe. Okay, so now we have our little lock right here. So if you find that you're like, oh, I started doing it and I'm like, oh, that's too skinny, you can always take some more hair. Let me show you how easy it is. I have some hair that I have just lying around. Sometimes that happens and that's okay. So I'm going to take this because I want to add some more to the end of this hair. So I'm just going to wrap it around randomly. And so I'm just going to wrap it around. And this is going to it's going to give you an easy way to give you some distress look onto it. And use your crochet hook to secure that all in there. There it is. And I'm going to take, oh, let me go this way. So this is all going to be hair that just like would slip right out. As soon as you cut it at this end, you could just pull that right off because your braid is up here. So you just pull that right off your hair. So easy. I can't believe how easy that was to get these locks out. I was like, oh no, I gotta take these locks out to do this video. Oh no. Okay, you can do a little bit of palm rolling if you want to. Do a little bit of pumps with your crochet hook. So this crochet hook is actually from a collection that I have that I actually use for jewelry and small thread jewelry crochet items. So you already learned how to use this for your hair. You can learn how to use this on an actual project and like create earrings with it. Playlist at the top. What? Okay, so this is my hair. Let me take it all down. Take my pins out of it. So this is what it looks like. Yeah, so can't say this is my easiest hairstyle, but what I will say is that it was certainly the most fun to do. And it seems to me that this lasts a whole bunch longer than crochet braids. I don't know if that's sacrilege to say that, but what I'm saying is just that for me, it lasts longer. Like I had these in for 2 weeks. Crochet braids, I don't have them in for very long because I don't know. I kind of feel like the crochet braids kind of hurt my scalp because of the cornrows, but it is what it is. Like I got these hats off of Amazon. I mean, what? You got this. You got this. So, you guys, I hope this video was easy for you to follow. Hopefully you'll be able to do this style for yourself. I mean, I love it. Like I have really no complaints about this hairstyle whatsoever. I just don't like doing individuals because they take forever. I'm not even gonna tell you how long it took. That was 2 weeks ago. So I hope this video was easy to follow. I hope that you'll be able to use this video to create your own butterfly distressed locks. If not, I'm glad you watched the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.